Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Simon Green. Now, before we begin, I want you to remember this African proverb. Now, if you think you are too small to make a difference, remember the mosquito. And after spending a night with it, I'll tell your story.
I, K. Julian Gutu of Grenada, will tell your story, Eric Williams. To increase student engagement and ownership of learning, we should give students opportunities to do meaningful work that makes a difference locally, nationally, and globally. Who else will tell our story?
Hey Marcus, I will tell your story. I, Christopher St. Louis of Grenada, will tell Marcus Garvey's story. If we, as a people, recognize and realize the greatness from which we come, we would not disrespect ourselves. Who else will tell our stories?
I, Elijah Cornett of New York, will tell your story, Nelson Mandela. Since my release, I have become more convinced than ever that the real makers of history are the ordinary men and women of our country. Their participation in every decision about the future is only guaranteed of true democracy and freedom. Who else will tell our story?
All of Grenada will tell you a story, Malcolm X. We need more light about each other. Light creates understanding, understanding creates love, love creates patience, and patience creates unity. Who else will tell our story?
I, Shabir Seal of Barbados, will tell your story. Queen Mother Ya Asantewa. I cannot believe it. It cannot be. I must say this. If you, the men of Asante, will not go forward, then we will. I shall call upon my fellow women. We will fight the white men. We will fight till the last of us falls on the battlefield. Who else will tell my story?
I, Princess Noel of Brooklyn, will tell your story, Kwame Nkrumah. We must unite now or perish. Who else will tell our stories?
I, Chantal Noel from Brooklyn, will tell your story, Nelson Mandela. It is in the character of growth that we should learn from both pleasant and unpleasant experiences. Who else would tell our stories?
Hi, I'm Simon Green of Grenada. I will tell your story, Steve Biko. The most powerful weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Who else will tell our story?
I, Malia Bartholomew of the United States of America, will tell your story, Adrian Green. You have been blessed with a vision that only you can see. You have been given dreams that only you can make a reality. And to rob the world of your unique contributions will be a tragedy because you have what it takes. Who else will tell our story?
I, Melissa Park of the United States of America, will tell your story, Dr. Hadiya Nicole Green. I realize that I'm a vessel, but I want to help humanity. It's a huge honor and it's humbling to be at the forefront. Who else will tell our story?
I, Stefan Cornett of New York City, will tell your story, Nelson Mandela. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. Who else will tell our story?
I, Nasha Campbell of Grenada, will tell your story. Jennifer Vivek Hosford. When someone chooses to show you the hate they have inside, don't hesitate to show them all you have: wisdom, knowledge, understanding, focus, self control, bravery, compassion, and of course, class. Who else will tell our stories?
I, Princess of New York, will tell your story, Maya Angelou. If you're always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. Who else will tell our stories?
I, Shyla Seal of Barbados, will tell your story. Shirley Coslum. You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas. Who else will tell our story?
My name is Jennifer Vivek Hosford. I was born in Grenada. I reside in New York. Nelson Mandela, I will tell your story. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden, but never extinguished. Who else will tell our stories?
I, Omar Morris of Grenada, will tell your story, Malcolm X. We need more light. Light about each other. Light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience, and patience creates unity. Who else will tell my story?
I'm Malik Sharban of Barbados. Will tell your story, Katherine Johnson. Follow your passion. Whatever you're doing, do your best at it at all times and make it as correct as possible. Work as if someone is watching you. Then you'll be prepared when an opportunity presents itself, and you'll have the answers. Who else will tell your story?
I, Harriet Jeremiah of Grenada, will tell your story, Walter Rodney. A culture is a total way of life. It embraces what people ate and what they wore, the way they walked and the way they talked, the manner in which they treated the dead and greeted the newborn. Who else will tell our story?
I, Keisha Christie, will tell your story, Camilla Harris. Anyone who claims to be a leader must speak like a leader. That means speaking with integrity and truth. Who else will tell our story?
I, Jovan Baptiste from Grenada, will tell your story, Usain Bolt. Easy is not an option. No days off. Never quit. Be fearless. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours of work. Who else will tell our story?
I, Matthew Datamara from Brooklyn, New York, will tell your story, Mayfield Garden Datamara. Life is like an ATM. If you've made no deposits, then your card will return insufficient funds. Who else will tell our story?
I, Seth Noel of the United States of America, will tell your story, Muhammad Ali. If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, I can achieve it. Who else will tell our story?
I, Lisa Lewis from Grenada, will tell your story, Mae Jemison. Never be limited by other people's limited imaginations. If you adopt their attitudes, then the possibility won't exist because you will have already shut it out. You can hear other people's wisdom, but you've got to re-evaluate the world yourself. Who else will tell our story?
I, Janice Henry of Grenada, will tell your story, Peter Tosh. My earthly parents don't know my potential or my divine qualities. They weren't taught how to diagnose or to be aware of such things. Who else will tell our story?
I, Lynette Rouget Noel of Grenada, will tell your story, Simone Biles. I don't really think about the degree of difficulty or the possibility of making a mistake. I'll just try to relax and let my preparation and training take over. Who else will tell our story?
I, Naira Green of Barbados, will tell your story, Rihanna. You may never be good enough for everybody, but you will always be the best for somebody. Who else will tell our story?
Heather L. Thompson of the Bahamas will tell your story, Zora Neale Hurston. I have the nerve to walk my own way, however hard, in my search for reality, rather than climb upon the rattling wagon of wishful illusions. Who else will tell our story?
I, Aisha Worm from Grenada, will tell your story, Amanda Gorman. There is always a light, if only we are brave enough to see it. If only we are brave enough to be it. Who else will tell our story?
I, Emma Small of Barbados, will tell your story, Lisa Levi. The folklore of the Caribbean, like the folklore of many peoples, reflects the true Caribbean, the unique spirit and truth of Caribbean people wherever they live. Who else will tell our story?
I, Ricky Thomas of Grenada, will tell your story, Lewis Hamilton. You can knock me down, but I get up twice as strong. Who else will tell our story?
I, Sa'ari Green of Barbados, will tell your story, Usain Bolt. The sky has no limits, and neither should you. Who else will tell our story?
I, Harriet Jeremiah of Grenada, will tell your story, Kwame Ture. Go home and tell your daughters they are beautiful. Who else will tell our story?
I, Kais Belgrave of Barbados, will tell your story, Dr. Amos Wilson. The Black community has run the longest, most successful boycott in history. The boycott against their own Black businesses. Who else will tell our story?
I, Jose Martha Bowen of Grenada, will tell your story, Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks. Children cannot learn values and attitudes from textbook or Sunday school alone. Artists will learn to valorize the conditions of their marginal existence merely as mirrors. If they have no stake in a society that teaches them how to shed light, because it has also demonstrated how a light can make a difference. Who else will tell our story?
I am George Lyon Bartholomew of Grenada and the USA. We'll tell your story, David Rudder. It's a living vibration rooted deep within my Caribbean belly. Lyrics to make a politician grin or turn a woman's body into jelly. It is a sweet soca music, calypso. Who else will tell our story?
Barbados will tell you a story, Chadwick Boseman. It would be cool to see slices of history that you haven't seen with African figures. Like Africans in Europe, the Moors in Spain, or if you go to Portugal, they have statues of black people all over the place. So not only have we been there, it's time for us to tell our story.
I, Lexi Sandiford of the United Kingdom, have started to tell our story. Here's my poem, Carnival, Carnival. Wind your waist and be embraced. Chase the floats, call your friends and let us blend. Swing your hips, have some sweet chili dip, listen to amazing reggae beats and have a feast. Eat all the food you can get, enjoy the sunset, have a chat, drink rum punch with the crazy bunch, have a warm dinner from chicken wings with mac and cheese, say thank you and please. All the things that happen today, I pray it happens next year, and maybe it will blast my ears. Carnival, Carnival, it's so special. By Lexi Sandiford. Come, come, let's tell the story.